How you guys doing? It's Alexa. What time is it?
It's 7:06 a.m.
Alexa,
Resuming big sky.
what's the date?
Currently, it's 39 degrees and feels like 38 with mostly clear skies.
Okay,
You can expect partly
Alexa,
cloudy
stop.
skies.
In reference to the situation of this going on for over 30 fucking years, and satellite man torturing my cat, government people stealing from me, holding me hostage, people stealing identification that I was supposed to have received. Reference to I was supposed to receive driver's license with my mother and father's addresses on it, but I haven't received none of those either. And this obviously brings up the question whether there was anybody on the Supreme Court that was involved in the murder of my mother, and anybody that was involved in the hostage situation of me being held hostage and these men raping me and physically assaulting me and stealing my sperm and genetics. There's not anybody on the Supreme Court that are in possession of any stolen children, is there? Anybody that was artificially inseminated in any family of the Supreme Court? Maybe the French military can go over to the Supreme Court and question any of the Supreme Court judges if they're aware of any of their court judges being involved in the murder of Doris Duke, or if any of them had ties to any of the people that murdered Walt Disney Sr. Maybe the French military or the embassy or the Italian embassy or the Irish embassy in Washington, D.C. can possibly go over there and question the Supreme Court whether they were involved in this hostage situation or any of the previous abuses that I've been through, because I have not received any monies from any of the lawsuits or insurance or life insurance policies of my parents. Is the Supreme Court confused of my identity? Did the French military ask the Supreme Court if they were confused about my identity? That's hopefully they'll be able to do that and go over there and ask them or something, because I got kidnapped from my mother and father's mansions, and the Supreme Court should have the date of information. And my mother probably had instructions at the Treasury or the Supreme Court in reference to monies and account information I was supposed to have received, or they would have had a phone number to contact somebody from the Supreme Court or something. But obviously, this situation seems to be very seriously abusive, and the satellite man was choking my cat. I've not received any monies or compensation from any of the years of abuse. And I've not received any monies from California, even though I got kidnapped from California. See, California law says it's illegal, obviously, to kidnap somebody from California. But I got kidnapped from California, and I have not received any compensation from California or any instructions of how to travel back to my mother and father's mansions in California, because the government obviously didn't send any information in reference to me getting kidnapped from my mother and father's mansions in California, or them even knowing much of anything about the situation. I've not received any letters from the governors or the mayors or from the Beverly Hills Police Department in reference to this hostage situation. And I know my mother had information at the Beverly Hills courts in reference to me and the situation of what people have tried to do to me, in reference to people raping me, people trying to mutilate, people trying to steal genetics, people trying to artificially inseminate their relatives with stolen sperm or genetics. There is some court proceedings that went on at the Beverly Hills courthouse before too, and possibly in New Jersey and New York and some other places. And I don't know if Court TV has any of that information, or if the French military has any of the court records or any of the court records in Indiana. But hopefully the French military can get information from the courts in those different cities and states and find out what the situation is. Because I have not received anything, and these satellite men are still burning me and hurting me with satellites. And, you know, my mother had records that said don't let anybody in Indiana kidnap me from California or anywhere else. But they allowed this. So I don't know why the California government has not sent me any monies, knowing that I got kidnapped from California and people tried to steal everything from my mother and father's estates. there is certain obligatory facts that people knew when I got kidnapped from California. And I don't know if anybody's briefed the California governor on it or any other governors or mayors in America, but this still is a hostage situation and an abusive situation. And in reference to California government, they weren't supposed to allow these people to have kidnapped me from California or my mother and father's properties or companies. So maybe the French military can talk to them, or, I don't know if the American military questioned any of them, but maybe the French military could ask them what the hell's going on.